Hi, I'm Greg, Soul Searching Gaijin. It's me. Been a long time. Welcome back. So today I want to kind of go over as quickly as possible, but you know I ramble, why you haven't seen me so much and give you an update on what I've been up to, where I'm at musically, mentally, emotionally, just like a studio life update. So about a year ago, I kind of started to slow down with YouTube. I've been in Japan for almost 3 years now, and when I landed here, I decided that I was going to commit to doing what I put off for a long time in life, which was my music. And I dove deep into that, and in the process of that, there's so many things I had to learn, so much gear I needed to not master, but get good at enough to like be able to express myself. And then I decided I wanted to play live, which was a whole nother aspect of learning and practice. So I had been really busy, keeping myself busy, and not speaking Japanese. I didn't really have. I've made a few friends over here, but I'm alone most of the time, which actually for the first time in my life, it's really refreshing and a blessing. But after what had happened was, once I started to perform, I started to gain some confidence in the YouTube thing, making almost 100 videos. I think it's like 90 something. I just became much more comfortable doing it, and that there wasn't the stress and the anxiety of, well, is this good enough? Like all of those things that I had to work through. I kind of worked through a lot of stuff, and after doing, I just, not that I perform a lot, I just did my 12th show yesterday, and the first few were horrible. Well, they were okay, but whatever. It wasn't until like maybe show four or five where I really started to gain some confidence and just not really care about the outcome so much and enjoying the process. So that was a huge lesson, and I feel like I progressed a lot with that. So all this being said is I was really, really busy for the first maybe year and a half of doing YouTube. And I got to a point where I was just like, you know what? I feel like I achieved a bit of a life goal. And not that it was to the ultimate extreme of like, but I had achieved something that I didn't think that I was able to pull off previously. So I kind of allowed myself to take a little time off. I was a little bit kind of tired too and neglecting other areas of my life. So I just said I'm going to put down YouTube for a month or so and just explore some other things, make some music without feeling pressured to record everything, and actually try to do things a little bit more polished than I would present on YouTube, as I'm just kind of creating stuff and then throwing the camera up and hitting record. And in that time, not having the pressure of every day waking up and having a to-do list of like, I need to learn how to do this on this piece of equipment, how to do this on OBS or YouTube or Instagram or whatever, I had a lot of time to myself, and I did a lot of walking and exploring around Osaka, where I live. And a lot of things came up, man. Things I wasn't really necessarily thinking about, because when I kept myself busy, I never really had to face, or I never really properly faced my life back in the States from 3 years ago. And not as a means of avoidance. I mean, I don't think that was a conscious effort, but by focusing on music so hard and being really busy, I never really dealt with a lot of those emotional traumas from my previous job and just all the things in life that kind of we regret or feel shame or guilt for, wish we would have done differently. All of those came up really hardcore, and I wasn't really prepared for that, and I kind of went in a little bit of a downward spiral. Um, I started to, feel I don't know. I just felt a lot of emotions that I hadn't really were unresolved, and they were just at the forefront of my mind every day. And that kind of got me in a little mild state of depression. Nothing huge or anything like, but it just I wasn't feeling my best, and that manifested in sickness in my body. I had some gut issues, and for the first time, I actually went to a Japanese doctor since I've been over here. That turned out to like 10 doctor visits and a couple hospital visits. They found I had diverticulitis, a kidney stone, and a cyst in my bladder. All three things all at once, and it was just kind of a nightmare. I really felt horrible. That was another reason why I kind of stopped doing YouTube because I just really did not feel good. I was so sick at one point that I actually had to cancel a gig about a week before because I knew there was no way, the way I was feeling, that I would be able to pull that off. And I was already deep in the doctor hospital thing. So yeah, so I kind of feel a little weird about that, but at the same time, I was still performing and doing shows, even though I haven't been doing YouTube. I've still been making lots of music, and staying busy with that, but just not nearly to the extent that I was before. So, long story short, that's never going to be short with me. I ended up, when I went to the hospital, they took the cyst out. They found out that it was actually bladder cancer, which scared the shit out of me. And so I had to really kind of look at my life pretty hardcore. And that really brought up a realization that, you know what, like the body is just a signal for what's going on. Like where your internal state is, your body reflects. And I'm like, okay, so like there's some trauma, there's some issues that you haven't dealt with. So it's your body's way of saying, okay, dude, like get your shit together and face this stuff. Don't run from it anymore and just kind of deal with it. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. And I have to say that it was incredibly liberating, even though it's scary when the body kind of pops up and says, hey, you're not living right. In a way, like I said, it's a signal just so you know it's time to get back on track. It's just a matter of whether you listen or not. And and I heard that message loud and clear, and it kind of freaked me out. I had lost a couple months ago. I lost a niece who was very dear to me. Probably one of the few people in my family. I know one of the few people in family. Probably the one who understood me the best, and we had the best connection. She was an artist. She died of cancer, which was, you know, like salt in the wound. I was like, phew. Just a lot of things happened over the past year that really made me wake up and just really appreciate life a bit. So I changed up a lot of stuff about myself. I do a lot of meditation. I really did a lot of that work of just forgiveness and just diving deep into those emotions. And I feel like I kind of, at this point, have come out on the other side. And the reason I say this is tied to the show that I did yesterday, which unfortunately I didn't record it, and I'll explain why right now. I was using a new piece of equipment that I had got a few months back, a Vermona Performer, which I think is a really amazing instrument, something I've been wanting for such a long time. And that was going to be the first time that I ever performed live with it. And once I had it set up in my studio, in my little live practice rig, I just set it up the first time, never took it down, and I just started using it. And so this was the first time I'm traveling with it. So once I get to the show, I was all kind of nervous because I knew I had to tune all the oscillators and get everything really nice in tune. And there's lots of, my knowledge of that instrument is very, though it is a relatively straightforward instrument, I don't have the time that I have on the other pieces of gear. So I was a little nervous about like, oh, what if I just have something weird pressed, or I mess up my MIDI channel assignments, or something strange happens. I was a little nervous about that because under the hood, I really don't. I'm I'm not comfortable enough with this piece to take it out live. I just kind of really like what it does and the music that I had made all new music with it over the past month for this show. So, and it was an hour-long show centered totally on this machine. I get to the show and I was nervous about a bunch of things, mainly just getting everything kind of set up. First thing I realized was that I didn't have a three-prong adapter or a three-prong to two-prong adapter for the power. And I was in this like 100-plus-year-old Japanese farmhouse that had like archaic electric wiring, like probably from the first time it was wired. It was built before electricity. And then there was wires strung all throughout the ceiling. It was crazy. It was a beautiful, beautiful place. Tatami floors. There was chickens outside. It was in the mountains. It was super peaceful. But for some reason, whatever, I forgot an adapter, and I kind of through a Japanese power strip, I was able to kind of plug the two prongs in and let the ground hang out. But I was having issues with the performer. I was just getting crazy feedback. And I think just not having it be the first time that I took this thing out, I was like, oh my God, what's this issue? Ah. And I was just kind of, I let my nerves kind of get the best of me and didn't realize it was something so incredibly stupid of just on each channel of the performer, there's two quarter-inch jacks, external in, or what's it say, VOD out, or VC. I can't even see. See, that's the other thing. I didn't put my glasses on. I just glanced and I was just like, oh, I have it hooked up right. I had the outputs plugged into the fucking wrong things. Oh, apologize for my language. So stupid, but I didn't catch it. And I really just, in a moment of just like, I don't know, I really was obsessed with, I thought it was a power thing, which didn't make any sense to me, and it still doesn't make any sense. It was just, I wasn't thinking straight. So anyway, I had built this whole set on the performer, and then really quickly I was just like, okay, I gave up on it. I'm not going to use it. So I had to kind of improvise the show, and I was supposed to play for an hour. I pulled off a little over 30 minutes based off of supporting tracks that I had on the Digitakt and Digitone that like were supporting tracks for the Vermona stuff. And I just improvised live melodies over top of all of that. And I pulled it off and it went really good. I just thought it was going to be a nightmare, so I didn't record. I brought my camera and everything. I was just like, I don't want to see how bad this is going to be. I'm just going to get through it. But once I started playing, I just relaxed and I just had a really good time, and it went over really well. I got a lot of compliments, even though it wasn't what I really wanted to do. It was a lesson in kind of trusting the abilities I've built up over the past, I don't know, couple years of doing YouTube. And it was just a validation that like all that time I've spent really paid off. And I could tell because I was really pretty calm. Like even before I started to perform, I was just like, you know what, it's going to be what it's going to be. And you play music all the time at home by yourself and you play for hours and it's not horrible. So just enjoy yourself and kind of go with the flow. And that's what I did, and it turned out okay. So the big lesson learned was after the show, I just felt really light, like something, like a weight was lifted off of me. Just like, you know what? Like an acceptance of who I am. And I'm like, look, I still do dumb things. That was the stupidest, most kindergarten mistake ever for somebody who's been doing music as long as I have and with the depth of knowledge I have with different equipment. It was so stupid. And just realizing that something that small could trip me up. And I almost look at it just like with getting sick. That was a little test just to be like, you know what? We're going to see how strong you are. Can you just push through and, you know, make lemonade out of lemons? you know, just deal with the issues. And like I said, afterwards I felt really good. I was kind of proud of myself. I was like, you know what, you didn't have a heart attack, your heart didn't jump out of your chest, like you had a moment, but then you calmed down really quickly, regained composure. And after my performance, I performed with there was two other musicians who played that day, and we improvised for about an hour and a half, the three of us together, which was great, all off the cuff. Um, they would just call out a key, and then we would just go for it. And it was really cool, and it just made me feel good because I felt very comfortable doing that. We did some really nice music together. It's a shame that I didn't record some of it, though I do have some little footage, which at some point I'll show you guys of just where the place was, because it was beautiful. But the point being is, I feel like I made some real progress mentally, emotionally, and it's starting to reflect physically as I'm feeling much more at ease. As I'm not walking around with guilt or shame or doubt or fear or insecurity in my body so much anymore, as I've been kind of dealing with that to the best of my ability, I feel it reflected in my body. I feel lighter, I'm sleeping better, my stomach has calmed down a lot, I've gained control of my diet, changed my life a lot, and I feel really, really good about it. So, and also, there's always the relief after you do a show. For me, I try to do new music for every show to kind of challenge myself. I don't want to keep repeating the same set. Since I play in a relatively small circle, there's a lot of ambient artists that I play with. A lot of the same venues. There's like a handful of venues that I get to perform at. So I tend to see some of the same people. I don't want to be playing the same stuff. So in that sense, that really made me grow also. But there was a relief because now I'm free to like create all new music, and I have an hour's set that I made on this performer, which I have yet to perform in front of people. So I'm like ahead of the game, which is great. So I'm pretty excited about that, and it feels really, really nice. So I would say like the takeaways were, for one, I'm not looking for like, you know, pity or whatever for being or going through the whole cancer thing, whatever. I feel fine. I'm not worried about it. I don't think it's going to come back because I'm taking care of myself. I'm doing a lot of things to rectify the sins I have done to the temple, to the body over my lifetime, whether it be just, you know, physically, emotionally, doing, just releasing a lot of trauma, and I can feel that. I'm just actively doing that work, and I really feel like I'm on the right path. I feel very healthy, and I'm really not worried about that. I'm actually super excited for the future and grateful that this came up when it did, so I can like move on. I feel like I've not only have I progressed in my music, but also spiritually I've moved on to a different plane, and I feel a lot calmer these days, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So anyway, there's a lot I need to catch you guys up on. I need to start making some more videos, and I'm going to do my best to do that. But I think this is enough information for now, just to kind of let you know where I was. Thank you if you made it through the whole thing, or if you just listened to, you know, whatever. If you haven't seen me in a while, and it's just nice to talk to you guys again. And I actually really enjoy doing these little talking videos. It's kind of like it also helps me get these things inside out, because it's all stream of consciousness. So thanks for taking the time to listen. I hope you live your best life and realize that you shouldn't don't avoid the hard things. You know, it's better just to face them and deal with them, to move through it. And forgiveness, forgive yourself. You know, we're only human. We're all trying to do our best. Deep down, I think we all really care about one another and ourselves. It's just really a lifelong experience to remember how to love yourself and to treat yourself with that beautiful childlike innocence that you had when before you got corrupted by all of this, all these social norms and pressures and stuff, and just like allow yourself to be who you are and enjoy the process. Okay, I'm going to end it there. I'll talk to you later. Bye.